A long-awaited weekend at Monza finally came to an end with events of the 2021 Italian GP. And just like every other year, Monza had its fair share of action-packed moments and astonishing victories. Right from Daniel Ricciardo's first place finish, to Bottas's masterclass drive, to the big crash between championship contenders Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. So without wasting any more time, let's take a look at how things unfolded and what really happened at Monza. Starting with the fact that Monza was the second location after Silverstone to host a sprint qualifying race, this meant drivers would stand a chance to fight for their position on the grid for next day's starting order. The grid positions for the sprint were decided by a normal qualifying session, which saw Bottas and Hamilton starting on the front row, followed by Max Verstappen and the McLaren boys. Saturday's sprint race saw Hamilton falling back 3 places as a poor start led him to being overtaken by the likes of Ricciardo, Verstappen and Norris. Pierre Gasly too seemed to be having a miserable weekend when a turn 1 incident ended up with him damaging his front wing and soon crashing out of the race, all in the first lap itself. Bottas went on to keep his lead and win the sprint, earning him 3 points, followed by Verstappen and Ricciardo getting 2 points and 1 point respectively. Although Bottas rightfully deserved pole, a power unit change ultimately forced him to start from the back of the grid, much to his disappointment. With both Mercedes cars starting behind, Verstappen looked forward to dominating at the Italian GP. However, his joy would be short-lived as Daniel Ricciardo went on to take the lead from Verstappen in a terrific start. Things only seemed to go downhill from there for Verstappen when a pit stop on lap 24 took more than 11 seconds to be completed, proving costly for Max as Hamilton went into the pits in the following lap. A 4-second pit stop saw Hamilton come out directly behind Norris and right beside Verstappen in one of the most exciting moments of the weekend. The two championship rivals went head-to-head on turn 1, fighting to make their way ahead of each other. However, their weekend would soon come to an end as Verstappen hit a curb on the corner, causing his Red Bull to hurtle towards Hamilton's Mercedes, who was lucky enough to only come in slight contact with Max's tyres thanks to the halo. In the post-race interview, when asked about what had happened, Hamilton said, "Obviously we had a bit of a slow stop but came out braking into turn 1. I made sure I left a car's length on the outside and I was ahead going into the corner. I guess Max went over the second curb or something like that. He obviously knew at that point that he wasn't going to make that corner and so he drove into me. Next thing you know, he's just on top of me, so definitely unfortunate." Verstappen on the other hand blamed Hamilton for giving him no room. "We saw that it was going to be tight into turn 1 and Lewis of course also realised that. I thought we're going to have a nice fight, but as soon as I saw I was next to him he just kept on squeezing me more and more to the left, and I still thought, you know, we'll just have enough space to make it into turn 2, but unfortunately he ran me a bit too much out of road, so then I clipped the sausage curb and that's why we touched," claimed Verstappen after the race. Hamilton was quite fortunate to come out from that crash unscathed, given that he had clearly been hit by Verstappen's tyre on the head. Despite this, his first response was to reverse the car to salvage whatever position he could in a fruitless attempt, as his car had suffered irreparable damage. Speaking about his health, Hamilton mentioned, "Thank God for the halo. It saved me. I don't think I'd ever been hit on the head by a car before. My head really is quite far forward. It's a big shock. I've been racing a long time and we're taking risks out there all the time. It's only when you experience something like that that you get that real shock and you look at life and realize how fragile we are." This is the second time in the season where the two front runners for the championship have had an incident with each other, the first one being at Silverstone. While Hamilton walked away with a 10-second penalty at the time, Verstappen though has not been so lucky with the stewards, awarding him a 3-place grid penalty for having caused the crash at Monza. Aside from the big crash, fans were in for a treat as McLaren finally had their day with a 1-2 finish for the team by Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. Ricciardo seemed to be quite pleased with the victory, his first since Monaco 2018, and also his first with McLaren. To celebrate the moment, he resorted to his winning tradition of a shoey alongside Norris and CEO Zak Brown. Joining them on the podium was Bottas, who put on a splendid performance, moving all the way from P19 to P3. The Tifosi though would go home disappointed as Ferrari drivers Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz only managed to finish in P4 and P6 respectively. Red Bull's Sergio Perez too missed out on the podium as a 5-second penalty pushed him back from 3rd position to 5th, earning 10 points in the process. Fans and fellow drivers alike were quick to congratulate the mixed Italian-Australian Ricciardo all over social media, with Gasly and Russell complimenting him over Instagram. Hamilton put up a story to wish the drivers and his former team McLaren, who are enjoying their first win since Hamilton left in 2013, whereas he himself has been chasing a highly elusive 100th Grand Prix win. With 8 more races left to be done, the championship fight has only become tighter as Max Verstappen leads the title fight with 5 points more than Lewis, and with both cars equally matched, match, it's up to the drivers to put in their best efforts for the rest of the season, which has been unlike any in recent years. As Hamilton finally faces a tough challenge after 6 years of dominating the championship, fans may at last get to see some real racing and maybe even a new world champion.